Good morning, Hope Fiends. Today, I wanted to make this video. A lot of you know that I'm an atheist, and I wanted to tell you about the secular 12 steps. They're really not that much different than the regular 12 steps. So I just wanted to tell you about the secular 12 steps and to show you that you can believe or you can get clean without believing in a supernatural power. I'm not saying you don't need a higher power, but a higher power doesn't have to be supernatural. And this is a program of action. Action, action, action. That's my thought on it. So here are the 12 steps of recovery for secular recovery. So let me read them to you. Step 1 is we admitted we were powerless over drugs or alcohol and our lives would become unmanageable. Same as the regular 12 steps. Number 2, came to understand with help I can overcome this, my addiction. Because this is a we program. We all know this. It's a we program. We can't do it alone. How many times has everybody tried to get clean on their own and failed miserably? Every single time. Because this isn't something you can do by yourself. You need like-minded people who are like you. And when I first got into recovery, the reason I'm making this video is because this was a huge, huge area for me. When I first got in recovery, you know, I was so put off by the religiosity of meetings. Yes, I know it's supposed to be spiritual. Not all meetings are the same, but where I come from, there's a lot of God talk. Lots and lots of God talk. But I finally figured out that that's my problem. I was looking for differences instead of similarities. So, what I'm getting at is do not let the program scare you off. Everybody's higher power is different. No one says you have to have their higher power. And if anybody tells you different, they are full of shit. Plain and simple. Number 3 is I made a decision to change our lives by coming to this simple program of recovery. It's pretty self-explanatory. Instead of, made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, I'm just making a decision to turn my life and will over to the care of the program and the action involved in the program. That's a huge, huge thing. Like, people can't go to meetings and just sit there, not get a sponsor, not work any steps, and expect to have any kind of serenity. You might be dry, you might be clean, I guess, technically, but you're not going to have any serenity. You're still going to be just as miserable because a lot of things in the 12 steps are very helpful because it teaches you who you are, why you act the way you do, and how you can combat that. There are many, many great tools in 12-step programs. I know a lot of atheists have an issue with the 12-step program. They say it's a cult, which it is definitely not a cult. You can leave at any time. No one's keeping you there. No one's forcing you to do anything. All they do is give you suggestions, and it's probably in your best interest to follow them suggestions because that's how they got clean. Not to say you have to do exactly what everybody else has done, but you gotta at least make a go at it, Okay. Number 4 is exactly the same as the regular 12 steps, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Number 5, the only difference is instead of admitting to God, myself, and other human beings, is just admitted to myself and another human being the exact nature of my wrongs. 6 is the same. We're entirely ready to rid myself or ourselves of all these defects of character. 7, we humbly and persistently work for the removal of our shortcomings. 8, made a list of everyone we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Still the same. 9, it's the same as regular. 10 is also the same as regular, as the regular 12 steps. I don't think I need to read it to you. Everybody knows what they are. And if you don't, just look up secular 12 steps or regular 12 steps. I don't care who your higher power is. What I'm getting at is This is a program of action, and a lot of people get hung up on the spirituality aspect of it, or the religious aspect of it. To me, spirituality is being altruistic for the sake of being altruistic. If I am helping other people, I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. And addicts like to pity themselves. We love pitying ourselves. Oh, woe is me, woe is me. So, I'm sure you can relate to that. Most addicts can. And number 12 is still exactly the same. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot 11. 11 is a little different. It's sought serenity to accept what we can change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So it's essentially the it's essentially the prayer, you know. But I mean, it still boils down to it works. I mean, you have to know what works and what doesn't. And if you don't know what works and what doesn't, then you know, you're the program's not going to work for you. You can't learn through osmosis. You can't just go in and sit in a meeting and listen and learn. You have to find someone that you feel comfortable with to take you through the steps. Your sponsor should never, ever, ever try to force his higher power on you. Some sponsors do, but I mean, when I first came into the program, I didn't understand, but I got to remember, we're all sick people. Some of us, it's varying degrees of sickness. Some of them are sicker than others. But in reality, we're still all sick people, or else we wouldn't be in the program to begin with. And step 12 is not any different at all. It's carrying the message to other addicts and alcoholics so that you can teach them what you have learned. And my hand is out to any addict anywhere that needs help. You know, I'm not perfect, but I've had 10 years in the program on and off, and thankfully, it's not. They give you many, many chances because I was a constant relapser until I started taking Suboxone. I know that's a really touchy subject in the program, but you know what? No one in the program can give medical advice, and if I'm taking it the way I'm prescribed, then it'd be no different than taking a cholesterol pill or a heartburn pill or a diabetic pill or anything like that. As long as you're not abusing them and you intend on tapering off of them. If you are, staying on them for the rest of your life, I mean, that's your choice. But I don't think of it as drug replacement because if anybody knows about Suboxone, they know that it doesn't get you high. It makes you feel somewhat normal. It makes you feel normal so you can live again. You can have a life. You can work. You can care about your family. I don't know about the long-term effects of it. I've heard bad things about the long-term effects. But in general, Suboxone is a miracle. Methadone, tried it. All it did is got me high. That's all. I mean, I abused methadone just like I abused heroin, just like I abused oxys, just like I abused any drug. I don't know how to responsibly use drugs. And Suboxone is the one drug that I've finally been able to take as prescribed because the more you take, it doesn't get you any higher. It doesn't do any difference. And the cool thing about Suboxone is with methadone, it seems like, depending on your tolerance, you have to have higher and higher and higher doses. I found that with Suboxone, literally less is more sometimes. I mean, even at my worst when I was banging dope, I mean, there's many times where I would get one Suboxone, I'd break it into four, so that's 2 milligrams a piece. And 2 milligrams was fine, and I was shooting dope, and it was fine to get me through until, I scored again. So I used it only until I could, find more dope. But then when I finally got in the program and I started using it like I was supposed to, things started to change. So, don't be afraid of the steps. The steps are a suggestion. Everyone is different.